producer here at Desawe Kanda. I am Portia Gabo.
And I am Martin Asiedu Date. Let's look at the headlines for the next 1 hour.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Tonight, the 2023 All-Africa Games audit uncovers widespread procurement breaches, inflated costs and significant irregularities as former Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf and 2 others are asked to repay 580 million cedis.
Also coming up tonight, Supreme Court adjourns indefinitely Office of the Special Prosecutor application challenging High Court ruling requiring case transfers to Attorney General and prosecution authorization.
And also coming up, Ghana Meteorological Agency warns of heavy rains as flooding risk rises. Details in a moment.
Later in business news, Industry Watcher warns proposed Momo wallet to bank transfer fee could harm financial inclusion and deplete small and medium-sized enterprises' capital.
On the international front, Senegal's former Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko, who was sacked on Friday by the president, has been elected as the Speaker of their national parliament.
Details of all these stories and many more coming up in the next 1 hour. Do stay with us.
Starting from a special audit report that has thrown up quite a revelation. So stay with us. Let's settle for it now. A special audit report into the 13th Africa Games in Ghana has uncovered widespread financial and administrative irregularities involving procurement, contract management, accommodation, transport, catering and infrastructure breaches. The audit, which examined operational, financial and technical activities linked to the games in Accra and Cape Coast, found evidence of inflated contracts, unsupported expenditures, weak financial controls and major procurement breaches. Auditors say that the review was intended to assess accountability, compliance with procurement laws, the use of public and donor funds, and the effectiveness of systems used to manage the games. Among the most serious findings were allegations of overpricing across several contracts. Anti-doping services supplied by Omni Specialist Product Limited were found to be overpriced by about 572,000 euros, and it was compared with rates charged by accredited international laboratories that have also undertaken similar events and programs. So we want to walk you through some of the key findings captured in the special audit report into the 13th All Africa Games. And on your screen shortly, you see areas that have been highlighted as where breaches occurred. So for instance, they say the catering contract carried 33.92 million Ghana cedis in unsupported costs. Vehicle rental was allegedly overpriced by 13.1 million Ghana cedis. JDK Travel was allegedly unqualified to provide accommodation services. Accommodation was allegedly overpriced by 10 million Ghana cedis. Again, anti-doping tests were allegedly overpriced by some 572,000 euros. Sports equipment showed excess costs of 322,000 US dollars, and vehicle branding was allegedly inflated by 2 million Ghana cedis. Again, we found in the report that some 15.9 million Ghana cedi was paid from games accounts for activities outside the mandate of the local organizing committee, including payments linked to the Black Stars and coaching salaries. And then 20.3 million Ghana cedis was withdrawn in cash without proper support. So, I mean, it makes for quite some reading when you take the full report, and then the recommendations that have been made therein include the fact that the former sports minister and 2 others have to pay the money, or at least help in investigation to recover the money.
In more news tonight, the Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation and Prevention Bureau has confirmed that the microlight aircraft, which crashed in Tema, killing both occupants, had a history of overheating, which most likely caused engine failure, resulting in the fatal accident at the TMA Daycare Center. The Bureau further revealed that the altitude at which the aircraft engine failed was too low for the pilot to find and execute a safe landing. George Queenan reports.
Presenting the findings of the final report on the investigation into the microlight aircraft crash in March this year, lead investigator Captain Paul Fojo confirmed that the pilot was licensed and qualified to operate the aircraft in line with existing regulations. However, it was revealed that on all 3 flights conducted from Ho Airport on March 16, the pilot occupied the rear seat while his friend and brother sat in the front pilot seat. He said the arrangement breached the conditions of the aircraft's flight permit, which states that the carriage of cargo or persons other than the crew necessary for the purpose of the flight is prohibited.
The pilot's awareness of the white smoke emanating from the engine after the previous flight, coupled with his knowledge of the history of the engine overheating, should have given him ample warning of the possibility of an engine failure and provided him the opportunity to either delay or cancel the flight in order to consult a qualified technical personnel or maintenance facility. The actions of the pilot in inspecting the coolant level and splashing water on the engine were not the recommended troubleshooting procedures.
There are no records available of any maintenance action on the aircraft between January 14 and the last flight on March 16, during which 15 flights was executed.
Contrary to the AIB Ghana Act 2020, Act 1028, Section 22(1)(c), the air traffic controller and the ATC search and rescue manager did not notify AIB Ghana. This non-compliance delayed AIB Ghana's arrival at the accident site and contributed to the possible loss of perishable evidence from the crash site.
Commissioner of the Bureau, John M.K. Wumboti, said the failure of the police service to present the autopsy report of the victims did not significantly impact the outcome of the final report.
It did not impact as much as people think. The protocol says that when there's fatality, you need to know what happened to the captain or the pilot. And so we need an autopsy report to determine what really happened, whether he has some underlying condition or certain things. So that was what we needed from them. But when they failed to give us, we went ahead to do our work as we have the mandate to do.
Moving forward, AIB Ghana expects the general public to really contact them in any cases of emergency. George Queenan, TV3 News, AIB Ghana, Cantonment.
Let's go to the courts now, and the Supreme Court has adjourned indefinitely an application by the Office of the Special Prosecutor seeking to quash the High Court ruling which ordered the OSP to transfer all cases to the Attorney General and further directed the office to acquire authorization before undertaking any further prosecution. On the 15th of April, the High Court, presided over by Justice Eugene Nyante-Nyadu, gave the orders to the OSP after an accused person in the rice scandal, Peter Archibald Hyde, challenged the authority of the OSP to prosecute the case. Lord Edwasare reports from the court.
Alhaji Isa Seidu of the National Insurance Commission, James Kekosei, a former director at the Office of the Vice President and Customs Officers, John Aban, and Peter Archibald Hyde, are facing prosecution over allegations of conspiracy to unlawfully seize containers using forged documents in a falsified letter purportedly issued by the Office of the Vice President. In his ruling, Justice Nyante indicated that despite having the mandate to investigate corruption-related offences, the Office of the Special Prosecutor does not have the authority to initiate prosecutions without prior authorization from the Attorney General. Several cases being prosecuted by the OSP, including the SML Company Limited, former NPA boss Mustafa Abdul Hamid, and Charles Bisu, have been affected by the High Court's decision. In court on Tuesday, May 26, Justice Gabriel Scott Pomang, chairing a 5-member panel of justices, disclosed that there was little the courts could do since the OSP's application could not be served to the parties. The Supreme Court then adjourned hearing of the application sine die to wit indefinitely until service to the parties is carried out. Sources within the Office of the Special Prosecutor indicated that the accused persons have been evading service and hence haven't been able to be served with their processes. They add that the application staying execution of the High Court ruling could also not be heard at the High Court because the accused persons did not show up, sending a correspondence to the court for an adjournment. The case at the High Court has been adjourned to June 8. Lord Idasari, TV3 News, Accra.
And away from the courts, the Ministry of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation says criticism of the draft National Information Technology Agency bill does not reflect the intent and purpose of the legislation. At a stakeholder engagement following widespread criticism over proposed reform legislation requiring certification of IT and ICT officials, the ministry says concerns raised by stakeholders will be incorporated into a revised bill to be presented to Cabinet for consideration.
For many young Ghanaians, technology has become one of the few industries where talent, creativity, and internet access can create opportunities even without traditional qualifications. For software developers and graphic designers, to fintech startups and cybersecurity professionals, Ghana's digital economy continues to rapidly expand and evolve. But a proposed National Information Technology Agency bill, now at the center of national conversation, is raising concerns about the future of their growth.
We saw that NITA had done another engagement, so we went to check if the bills had been updated, and we noticed that the draft bill for NITA was still the same. So it caused us to raise the same concerns that we raised back then, especially due to certain provisions in there that we found.
For many within the industry, the fear is that the proposal could increase bureaucracy, raise operational costs, and make it harder for startups and self-taught developers to thrive. An online petition seeking to halt the passage of the bill is now gaining traction, with supporters demanding wider stakeholder engagement and amendment to what they describe as restrictive provision. Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations, Samuel Nati George, insists the objective of the bill is not to suppress innovation.
As part of its activities, the agency intends to regulate IT professionals and certify IT suppliers and vendors who provide IT services and equipment to ministries, departments, agencies, metropolitan municipal district assemblies.
In a consultative meeting following the backlash, the ministry maintains that the bill is still at the draft stage, with consultation ongoing.
A number of big tech companies have submitted their inputs. We received memos from across the world. Anybody who has additional inputs, you wait. When Parliament opens that window, you can still put it in there through Parliament.
Even as government attempts to clarify the intent behind the proposed bill, conversations around the bill continue to grow online, with many young people closely watching what happens next. Enyonam Haliga, TV3 News.
Well, it's been a very rainy day, and the last few days have actually been very wet, so we hope that you are safe wherever you are. However, the Ghana Meteorological Agency is urging the public to brace for more torrential rains as the peak of the 2026 rainy season threatens to worsen flooding situations across vulnerable communities in the country. The deteriorating weather conditions are also expected to disrupt fishing activities both at sea and on inland waters as rough and dangerous waves continue to batter the country's marine space. Here's a report by Stanley Nibleu.
From Weja to Kaneshi, Adenta, Odona, Ashaiman and parts of Tema, heavy downpours continue to expose the vulnerability of communities built along waterways, as well as poor urban planning and inadequate drainage systems. Several homes have already been inundated following recent rains. The Ghana Meteorological Agency has warned that the country should expect more intense rainfall and possible flash floods during the peak of the 2026 rainy season, especially across Greater Accra, Central, Eastern and Ashanti regions. Joe Tete Potofi is with the Ghana Meteorological Agency.
We are in the beginning of the rainy season. We've not got to the peak yet. We'll go to the peak when we are somewhere in June. If the beginning is like this, it will go to the peak. When you get to the peak, apparently every day it will be raining. And once we get to the peak, everywhere is saturated. The soil is saturated. Now even water cannot percolate into the soil. So if water cannot percolate, then it will run over. And that's why we have a lot of flash floods during June.
Satellite imagery on Thursday, May 26, showed part of the Ashanti region receiving heavy rains, while part of Accra experienced moderate rainfall and unstable weather conditions. However, the marine sector encompassing the Gulf of Guinea is also experiencing heavy rains, impacting fishing expeditions. According to the Ghana Meteorological Agency, the trend will persist for days, with rough and dangerous waves expected across the coastal stretch. The situation is not only peculiar to Ghana's territorial waters, but extends across the entire coastal belt within the sub-region. Joe Tete Potofi elaborated on conditions within the marine space.
Looking at this imagery currently, it is raining on the Gulf of Guinea. So this has a weather warning has been issued to them, and it is dangerous because when you are on the sea, there is nowhere to land. There is nothing to hold. So if the winds are strong, and it's lightning, it's thundering, and it's raining also, raining coming into your boat, and anything can happen. So when we issue that warning for them, they are able to not to go or to come.
On inland waters, including the Water Lake, fishing and commuting activities also remain dangerous at this time. Commuters and canoe operators are being advised to wear life jackets before embarking on voyages, as water bodies are expected to remain rough.
When you go to some places like Abotiati, the lake is very huge. When you start from one point, it will take about 2, 3 hours, 4 hours to cross to another point. So you need to get a weather forecast before you start crossing. Because if you are crossing and the strong winds comes in, there is no way you are going to hold.
Public health experts are also warning that continuous flooding could heighten the risk of cholera and other waterborne diseases if drainage systems remain choked and sanitation conditions deteriorate further. As the rains intensify across southern Ghana, authorities are urging residents in flood-prone communities to remain alert, avoid waterways, and adhere strictly to safety directives to prevent further loss of lives and property. Stanley Niblew, TV3 News, Accra.
And tonight we ask, could many of the devastating floods in Accra have been prevented? And investigations by TV3 reveal that major waterways and natural flood-holding areas that once controlled water flowing from the Bree Mountains into Accra are rapidly disappearing due to encroachment and unregulated development. Joseph Armstrong has been tracing the journey of floodwaters from Bree to the Kole Lagoon and covering how blocked rivers, destroyed wetlands and choked drains are worsening flooding across the capital.
It is a raining Tuesday in Accra. Within minutes of the downpour, several roads in the capital begin to disappear under floodwaters. The news team visited some flood-prone areas across the city. At the Jowolo Junction, commuters and motorists struggle to move through heavily flooded streets. After less than an hour of rainfall, the entire stretch from Jowolo through to the Gimpa Road was submerged. For residents and drivers, this has become an all too familiar experience anytime it rains heavily in Accra. But what exactly is causing the persistent flooding in the capital? To find answers, the news team traveled to Bree, where much of the flood water flowing into Accra begins its journey. From the Bree Mountains through the Kwonko Hills in the Gan East municipality, rivers and natural water holding areas that once absorbed and controlled floodwaters are gradually disappearing. Investigations revealed that sections of the Dakubi River and surrounding wetlands have been heavily encroached upon by private developers. Natural waterways are being filled, narrowed, and in some cases completely blocked. The result is that large volumes of water now rush directly into downstream communities whenever it rains. The head of works at the Gan East municipality, Engineer Justin Glover, admits the assembly is deeply concerned about the scale of encroachment.
What we are seeing here is the upstream of the famous Odo River. And this upstream starts from the hills, where we refer to as the Kpongpo Hills. At that point, it is called the Dakubi River. Now, from the Dakubi River, it travels down to Oyarifa Tema, where there is another stream called the Ado River. It now metamorphoses into what we call the Odo River, a circle.
According to him, addressing the problem will require coordinated action between multiple assemblies. He says buildings situated within the Dakubi River buffer zone may have to be demolished to restore the natural flow of water.
We will need to have interaction with Lankwantana so we can be able to clamp down on what is happening here.
Officials at the Lankwantana Madina Assembly also acknowledge the growing danger.
People who did the filling, the assembly has arrested them and even stopped them for doing any activities on the land. And actually, assembly has also written to the Regional Coordinating Council for a bigger track to come and to excavate, to dredge all the fill materials in the river.
But beyond the encroachment, several other factors are contributing to the flooding crisis. Across many parts of Accra, drainage systems remain incomplete, poorly maintained, or heavily choked with waste. The investigations further reveals that nearly all major rivers, streams and lagoons that once served as holding points for floodwater before draining into the sea have either been degraded or destroyed. Among them are the Dakubi River, the Ado River at Teman, the Kpongpo River at Pantain Village, the Kpongpo Machine Stream, the Oyirishri River at Agbogba, and sections connected to the Odo River and the Kole Lagoon. For decades, these water bodies acted as natural buffers, slowing and controlling the movement of water from the mountains into the city and eventually into the sea. Today, many of them are barely visible beneath ongoing development and human activities. All these waterways disappear. Floodwaters now move with greater speed and the volume through densely populated communities across Accra whenever it rains. Experts warn that unless urgent action is taken to restore these waterways, protect wetlands, and enforce building regulations, flooding in Accra could become even more severe in the coming years. For now, residents remain trapped in a cycle of destruction, watching roads disappear, homes flood, and businesses collapse after every heavy rainfall.
This is the entry point. As you see, the rain is coming heavily again. So all the rain from Ebri ends up here. Unfortunately, almost all the water holding points have been encroached with many of the drainage systems.
So clearly, we all get the idea that a lot needs to be done to reduce flooding in the capital, especially the capital of the city cannot go underwater. We'll update you as we are told by the Ghana Meteorological Agency that the coming days are still going to be quite heavy, so let's all pay attention. Away from that to the teaching field, and the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, says pressure is mounting on its national leadership to declare a nationwide strike in solidarity with teachers in the Takwa enclave following the assault of 3 teachers by armed military personnel earlier this month. Speaking to our labor correspondent, Daniel Opoku in Accra, the General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Tanko Musa, disclosed that the national leadership of NAT is expected to announce decisive action in the coming days.
According to the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, Thomas Tanko Musa, teachers within the Takwa Inswayem area are already on strike, accusing the government, the Ghana Education Service, and the Ministry of Education of failing to respond adequately to their concerns. The development has sparked outrage within the teaching fraternity nationwide, with over 300,000 teachers said to be deeply unhappy about the silence from authorities. The NAT General Secretary has since directed striking teachers in Takwa Inswayem area to escalate their industrial action to the regional level as pressure continues to build.
We say enough is enough. The teachers there, as they have declared the strike action and they are not going to school in Takwa, we commend them. This week ends and we don't hear anything. The region should take it up. The region should take it up. They should not back down. Until this matter is addressed, it should be strike all the way until the nation stands still to listen to what the teachers are saying. And the teachers' rights are human rights.
Days after the alleged military assault, the Ghana Education Service and the other relevant stakeholders are yet to publicly address the matter. Tanko Musa insists NAT may no longer engage the GES and other authorities if they continue to remain unresponsive to the plight of teachers.
The laws allow us, in Section 119 of the Labour Act, that if your life is under threat, you can pull it out. And we tell them what they are doing, we are with them there. And that the earlier they correct these things, the better for all of us. Because in the coming days, if all of us will join, the state should have itself to blame. And we have no problem at all joining when it gets to the national level.
Meanwhile, a source informed the newsroom that the Regional Education Directorate of the Ghana Education Service will meet the disgruntled teachers on Wednesday, May 27 to resolve the matter.
Let's now go to the Western region, where the Education Minister Haruna Idrisu says that technical universities will get 10 million cedis from GET Fund as President John Mahama pushes them to lead the country's push for skills and industrial growth. A report by Rama Smith.
Education Minister Haruna Idrisu made the announcement at the opening of the 4th Applied Conference of Technical Universities in Takoradi.
The administrator of GET Fund into his 2027 formula to make an allocation of 100 million, 10 million to each of the technical universities.
It follows direct appeal from the chairman of the Vice Chancellors of Technical Universities for resource support.
We, the Vice Chancellors of Technical Universities of Ghana, VCTUG, respectfully appeal for the establishment of a dedicated Technical Universities Transformation Support Fund to provide the necessary seed support to address these outstanding gaps.
President John Dramani Mahama, who was the guest of honor, says the funding is part of a national strategy to position technical universities as drivers of skills development and industrial growth.
10 years is long enough for us to ask the difficult yet necessary questions. And these are that our technical universities truly become the engines of industrial transformation that we envisaged. Have they sufficiently shaped national productivity, technological advancement, manufacturing and enterprise development? Have they become the central actors in addressing Ghana's real economic and developmental challenges?
He also announced the creation of a new science university within the Savannah area and 2 new technical universities at Techiman and Jasikan. The 4th Applied Conference of Technical Universities of Ghana, currently underway at the Takoradi Technical University, is under the theme Advancing TVET for Innovation, Technology Transfer and Entrepreneurship for Sustainable Development. Rama Smith, TV3 News, Western Region.
Well, tomorrow is a holiday. I'm sure many of you know that. And Muslims are preparing for this year's Eid al-Adha celebrations. Beginning tomorrow, the 27th of May, the festival will be marked with congregational prayers at various mosques and prayer grounds, followed by feasting and other festivities. There's more in this report by Noura Mohammed.
Is this the big one? Yes, this is the big one. For my non-Muslim brothers and sisters who keep asking, this is the big Eid, Eid al-Adha. And as such, Muslims across the globe, as well as here in Ghana, are gearing up to celebrate come May 27, 2026.
Eid al-Adha commemorates the unwavering faith and obedience of Prophet Ibrahim. According to Islamic tradition, Prophet Ibrahim had a dream in which Allah commanded him to sacrifice his beloved son, Ismail, as an act of devotion. Though heartbreaking, Ibrahim prepared to obey the command completely, but just as he was about to carry out the sacrifice, Allah replaced Ismail with a ram, rewarding Ibrahim's faithfulness and submission. It is this story of sacrifice, obedience, and trust in God that Muslims around the world remember during Eid al-Adha. The celebration also marks the climax of the annual Hajj pilgrimage in the holy city of Mecca, where millions of Muslims gather every year. Here in Ghana, the day begins with special congregational prayers held at mosques and open prayer grounds across the country. One of the major highlights of the celebration is the slaughtering of animals, usually sheep, goats, cows, or rams. The meat is then shared in 3 parts, one for the family, one for relatives and friends, and another for the poor and vulnerable. Some residents and traders at Lima share with us how they are preparing ahead of the Eid.
You are a Christian, you are a Muslim, you collect everybody, you enjoy, you get meat, you get rice, you eat. If you don't have money self, you eat food.
Beside my house there is a mosque. Most of the times we go to the central mosque and pray. My mothers and my sisters are also buying things for their sons and daughters. I'm very happy with that.
Muslims for the next 3 days will be engaging in Eid al-Adha festivities such as slaughtering livestock, to sharing meat amongst themselves and to those who surround them with love and togetherness. Eid Mubarak in advance to all Muslims in Ghana. Noura Mohammed, TV3 News, Nima, Accra.
And we will be expecting a meet from Noura tomorrow after that report. We have more news coming up shortly. Do stay with us.
protecting capital rather than on new value creation. Nelson Kujo Kwagweji projects this could hit small and medium-sized enterprises the hardest, particularly those reliant on high volumes of daily transactions for regular payments and receipts.
The Bank of Ghana has officially directed Mobile Money Fintech Limited to pause the implementation of its proposed 0.75% fee on direct wallet-to-bank transfers. Finance and tax analyst Nelson Kujo Kwagbaji points out that applying the fee directly eats into individuals' or businesses' capital.
When you are moving money from your wallet to your bank account, there is no value added or value creation at that point. It's just like you are picking money from your right pocket and you are sending it to your left pocket. And so if they impose that 0.75% as a charge on your transfer or transaction, you are going to eventually erode your working capital.
As of April 2026, there were approximately 83 million registered mobile money accounts in Ghana, with about 26 million active accounts. In April 2026 alone, mobile money transactions reached a record 493.2 billion cedis, with an average of roughly 26 million daily transactions across the country. Kwagbaji argues that Momo Wallet to bank transfers fee is likely to negatively impact financial inclusion.
It is going to serve as a demotivation and disincentive for people to transact, payment and settlement using mobile money transaction. And so for me, I think it's a no-no. To the extent that this new 0.75 will not deepen financial inclusion, but rather decelerate it.
Executive Secretary of Ashanti Business Owners Association, Charles Kusi Apiakubi, welcomes the BOG's directive.
It is a welcome directive, but I was thinking we shouldn't have even gotten to the point where Mobile Money Fintech Limited should have ever dreamed of introducing something like this. We should not make the use of technology become more punitive. It must be flexible, friendly, so that we can get more people to be part of our financial sector and, for that matter, the banking industry.
The Ghana Chamber of Mines says fatalities within the mining industry fell by more than 50% in 2025 compared with the previous year. Now, despite the decline, the Chamber says it remains committed to reducing workplace incidents to zero, stressing the importance of protecting human life in the sector. Speaking at the Mine Performance Awards and the launch of the 2026 edition, Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber, Kenneth Ashigbe, reaffirmed the organization's commitment to improving safety standards across the mining industry.
I'm encouraged to note that our industry recorded an improvement in our safety performance for 2025. But again, I'm also heartbroken, because though we reduced fatalities, it didn't come to zero. That's what we should have been aspiring to. When you look at the numbers, you say we did more than a 50% improvement, coming to 3. But can you imagine if the 3 was you or I? So that's too much. And even for 2026, we're just in the 5th month. But unfortunately, there have been 2 fatalities already. And that's a tough one. While this reduction is commendable, we must not lose sight of the fact that 1 fatality is still too many.
And now we offer the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. We'll bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market.
Welcome to 4 Points by Sheraton.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. From moments of brilliance to nights of heartbreak, Ghana's journey at the FIFA World Cup has been filled with promise, pain, and near glory. As the Black Stars prepare for a fifth appearance on football's biggest stage, my colleague Billy Shen takes a look at the highs, the heartbreaks, and the unfinished story Ghana hopes to finally complete in 2026.
Ghana's World Cup story can be summed up in one word: unfinished. In their early years on football's biggest stage, the Black Stars were pacesetters for African teams at the Mundial. Today, however, they are rebuilding, seeking to restore a reputation that once positioned them among the continent's elite. In 2006, the four-time African champions made their maiden appearance at the global showpiece. Their opening match was a harsh introduction, a trademark long-range strike from Andrea Pirlo, and a composed finish from Vincenzo Jacquinta, capitalizing on a Samuel Osei-Kuffour error, handed Italy a 2-0 victory. But Ghana responded with courage, as Asamoah Gyan and Sule Muntari found the net in a famous 2-0 win over Czech Republic, announcing the Black Stars to the world. They followed that up with a 2-1 victory over the United States, finishing second in the group and setting up a round of 16 clash with Brazil. That was where the journey ended. The Seleção scored 3 unanswered goals to eliminate Ghana. At the World Cup on African soil, Ghana carried not just national hope, but continental expectation. A 1-0 win over Serbia and a 1-1 draw with Australia secured qualification from Group D, despite a narrow defeat to Germany. In the round of 16, Asamoah Gyan's extra-time strike sealed a 2-1 victory over the United States, making Ghana the third African nation to reach a World Cup quarter-final. Then came the night that still lingers in Ghanaian football memory. With seconds remaining in extra time against Uruguay, Luis Suarez handled the ball on the goal line to deny certain victory. Gyan stepped up for the decisive penalty but struck the crossbar. Uruguay will go on to win on penalties. It was heartbreak, immortality denied. The 2014 campaign in Brazil was supposed to be the continuation of that golden era. Instead, it became a cautionary tale. Drawn alongside Germany, Portugal, and the United States, Ghana showed flashes of brilliance. A spirited 2-2 draw against eventual champions Germany, highlighted by Andre Ayew and Asamoah Gyan goals, reminded the world of their quality. But off-field turmoil overshadowed the football. Disputes over player bonuses led to unprecedented scenes, with government funds flown into Brazil to settle payments. Kevin Prince Boateng and Sule Muntari were sent home after disciplinary issues, and unity within the squad fractured. A 2-1 defeat to Portugal sealed a group stage exit. 8 years later, in 2022, Ghana returned to the World Cup in Qatar with a new generation and a renewed sense of identity. After an opening defeat to Portugal, the Black Stars bounced back with an exhilarating 3-2 win over South Korea, with Mohamed Kudus announcing himself on the global stage. Fate, however, had one more script twist. In the final group game, Ghana faced Uruguay once again, 12 years after the heartbreak in Johannesburg. A chance for redemption presented itself when Andre Ayew stepped up for an early penalty. He missed. Uruguay won 2-0. Ghana were eliminated after finishing bottom of the group. Head coach Otuado announced his exit at the presser after the game. Otuado made a return as the Black Stars head coach in March 2024. Under his management, Ghana failed to qualify to the AFCON for the first time in 2 decades. Despite calls for his sack, the GFA stuck with him, and he repaid their faith, pipping Mali, Madagascar, and Comoros to the top of Group I, securing Ghana's 5th appearance at the Mundial. His eventual dismissal, however, came after Ghana suffered back-to-back friendly defeats to Germany and Austria at the end of March, results that intensified pressure on the Ghana Football Association to act swiftly in search of a new direction. The man they eventually turned to was 71-year-old Carlos Queiroz. Queiroz arrives with a wealth of experience, having managed at 4 FIFA World Cups with 2 different national teams, while also enjoying spells with some of the biggest football institutions, including Manchester United and Real Madrid. The former Portugal head coach is expected to announce his final 26-man squad on June 1st. Just a day later, he will take charge of the Black Stars for the very first time when Ghana faces Wales in an international friendly in Cardiff. As part of the preparations for the Mundial, Queiroz has already named an initial 28-man provisional squad featuring 5 goalkeepers as competition for places intensifies. For Ghana, the tournament presents more than just another World Cup appearance. It is an opportunity to restore pride and rebuild a reputation that has gradually faded on the global stage in recent years.
Well, before we go, just a reminder that tomorrow, that is Wednesday on the holiday, we're bringing you a special as Samoajan sits with 3 Sports at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Or you can get more sports stories on our social media handles at 3 Sports GH. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
Cementing Jackie's status as one of Africa's leading female music exports. And now we bring you some interesting tidbits from the world of entertainment.
Meanwhile, K-pop sensations BTS dominated the 2026 American Music Awards, sweeping all 3 categories they were nominated in, including the night's biggest prize, Artist of the Year.
Thank you, Queen Latifah. All of us are so happy to be back together at the American Music Awards again.
The group also picked up awards for Best Male K-pop Artist and Song of the Summer with their hit track Swim off the album Arirang. Chris Brown has added another milestone to his career after receiving an honorary doctorate from Harvard Christian University on Saturday, May 23. The award-winning singer was conferred with the Doctor of Philosophy in Visual and Performing Arts honoris causa in recognition of his contributions to the creative arts industry. Chris Brown announced the achievement on Instagram, sharing a photo of the certificate with the caption, "I did the thing." According to reports, the honorary degree was approved following recommendations from the university's faculty, president, and board of trustees. The recognition marks another significant achievement for the global entertainer, whose influence continued to span music, dance, and performance.
You thought it was over. And that's how we wrap up the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko.
On the international front, Senegal's former Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko, who was dramatically sacked on Friday by the president, has been elected Speaker of the National Parliament. His election is setting up a possible source of conflict at the top of Senegalese politics. Senegal's current crisis follows months of tension between Sonko and his one-time ally, President Bassirou Faye.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you so much for watching. I am Martin Esiedu Datic.
And I am Portia Gabodu. Join Beatrice Edu at 9 p.m. for Agenda, as well as Ghana Tonight is on at 10 p.m. with Alfredo Kansi. Good evening.